Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Kara More Toma Bina Ke Dayalu Jagata Samsare Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Kara More Tama Bina Ke Dayalu Jagata Samsare Patita Pavana Hetu Tavaya Avatara Mosama Patita Prabhu Napaibeara Patita Pavana Hetu Tavaya Avatara Mosama Patita Prabhu Napaibeya Haha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa Balokana Koro Ami Boro Dukhi Haha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Nakoro Ami Boro Dukhi Daya Koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bole Pai Chaitanya Nita Daya Koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bole Pai Chaitanya Nitan Haha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha Bhaja Juga Shri Jiva Prabhu Lokana Haha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha Bhaja Juga Shri Jiva Prabhu Lokana Daya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Sangamage Narottamada Daya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Ngamage Narottamada Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More Toma Bina Ke Dayalu Jagata Samsare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu daya karo more, toma bina ke dayalu jagat samsare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for attending the readings from Albulio Temple by His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj. So it's like a little unfortunate that we've coming to the end of this wonderful book. If one has read this book already, then one will understand the true nature of this book, what it actually entails. This has been presented by one of Srila Prabhupada's leading disciples and most intimate associate of Srila Prabhupada, who Prabhupada kept very close to him. And although Srila Prabhupada had so many disciples and he equally loved all of them, but there were certain devotees that you can kind of refer to them as like the inner circle, if you want to put it that way, that Srila Prabhupada worked very closely with. And we identify those devotees when Srila Prabhupada first left the West to go back to India. Then the leading disciples of Srila Prabhupada were picked from the different centers from not just America, but different parts of the world also, at least 2 or 3 from each zone, were handpicked to join Srila Prabhupada on his visit back to India. And the people of India later referred to them as the dancing white elephants. So it's a wonderful phrase if you want to, elephant is a glorious animal, but this had a different connotation to it. And Prabhupada's purpose was to take these Western devotees back to India to kind of reteach these, if you can say that, the bent trees of India. They're very steeped in religiosity and mantra, tantra, puja, all of these things. And it's very, very difficult to preach or to convince people that are already coming from a religious background who think that they know everything. It's very hard to break that barrier. So Srila Prabhupada he envisioned that these devotees of the West will actually re-spiritualize India, because India has been steeped in many different kinds of Siddhantas and philosophies. A whole mix-up was there. And this Hare Krishna movement, when Prabhupada took these leading disciples back, was really meant to establish the re-spiritualization of India via his Western disciples. Because as we know, when Srila Prabhupada was in India, he didn't get very much support from his god brothers and everyone else. He struggled on his own. So Srila Prabhupada took his own flock of devotees, his own brand, and his aim and mission was to re-establish the dharmic principles of India. So here we come to a point in the book where it's very emotional, the previous chapter, where Srila Prabhupada, he actually knew that when he is going to leave Bombay, this is the last time that he'll be in Bombay itself, And this Bombay project, Prabhupada put in the most amount of Lakshmi that was collected from the West, the most amount of time and effort went into this. Although Vrindavan and Mayapur projects were there, they were the 3 priority projects at the time. But Srila Prabhupada really, if you examine his Leela, Amrita, this project was the crown jewel of Prabhupada's goal of what he wanted to achieve. And he put in this mammoth, mega effort to establish this project. Prior to Prabhupada going to the West, when he was still seeking permission or trying to get a free passage with Sumati Murarji and the Jaladuta, Srila Prabhupada used to walk past this land. And he already saw this land, and it was embedded in his brain that this is it. This is where I would like to establish the center. It was a bush. It was overgrown, dilapidated buildings. It was like a rural part of Bombay, referred to as that time. It was neglected. There was nothing there to really say, wow, this is a top-notch, it's a prime real estate where we can establish a grand temple. Not really, at that point, there was nothing there to say, well, we can put a grand temple here. It meant nothing at that time. But Prabhupada is Trikalagya. He could see the future. And he could see, when he established this project, what it will actually mean and how it can attract so many people. And the most important people of India lived in Bombay at that time. The total population of Bombay, even up till now, as it grows, the total population of Bombay, like currently, is like 60 million or 70 million. That fits into the total population of South Africa. A huge number of people, very influential businessmen were established there. The Bollywood film industry, industrialists, and everything was Bombay. That was a hub of India. So Srila Prabhupada knew, like mentioned in the previous chapter, that when he's going to be leaving Bombay, is going to be his last time. He knows he's going to reach Vrindavan, and that's it. He's going to pass away. That whole journey leading up to the train and how he was transported to Vrindavan, and when he was in Vrindavan, the controversy surrounding to go or not to go on the Braj Mandala, Govardhan Parikram. Prabhupada's disciples equally loved him, and they all... the thing is, a huge society of devotees. There are devotees coming from so many different types of backgrounds, and each one of us have a different way to please Prabhupada, and sometimes we'll naturally fit into different groups. So there was a group that had this grand idea of taking Prabhupada on the Parikram, and there was another group that thought, well, if you do take Prabhupada, it could shorten his life even further because of the rugged terrain, and it'll damage Prabhupada. So that was there. So So just to read something from this chapter, 2 weeks after Prabhupada's departure, we held a memorial program in the area between the Samadhi and the entrance to the temple. Inside a large pandal, various dignitaries and Gaudiya Vaishnavas, including notably Prabhupada's friend Vishvambara Goswami from the Radha Raman temple, glorified Prabhupada's qualities and accomplishments, and then a grand feast was served. Recently, His Grace Arjun Bhattacharya Prabhu, he posted a whole series of pictures with this person, Vishvambara Goswami. Now, our temple in ISKCON is closely connected to the Radha Raman temple because of Srila Prabhupada's friendship with the head pujari, or the main person who took care of the temple, Vishvambara Goswami. And to this day, the lineage continues, all the members coming down from that line, they still have a very close connection to ISKCON because of Prabhupada's friendship to Vishvambara Goswami. So the next paragraph, early the next morning, this is after Prabhupada's departure. I just can't imagine how emotional that'll be. I was once in Vrindavan on Prabhupada's disappearance day during Kartik. And it's really a trick how to get inside and stay inside, because there comes a point, they lock the doors. They can't allow any more people in. They allow your parikram, so you have to time your parikram. You have to be in at that opportune time where you get locked in. So we bore witness of the amazing, at that time when Prabhupada passed, at that point it was Niranjan Goswami was saying Guru Astakam in the evening melody. You just can't help but break down and cry. It's such an emotionally charged moment when you see the other disciples of Prabhupada crying and missing Srila Prabhupada. And this is so many years later. So you just can't imagine when Prabhupada left what the devotees felt. So this next paragraph, Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Giriraj Maharaj, and a few other leading disciples, they were tasked the duty to take the flowers from Srila Prabhupada's body to be placed in a Pushpa Samadhi in Mayapur. So it's a funny incident where they hired this vehicle to take them to Delhi to connect. And there was quite a few of them. The first problem they encountered was they couldn't all fit the luggage in the car, and they themselves couldn't fit. And everybody couldn't get there on time. And it was just a real mess the morning of the departure, just to take the flowers and go. So they came to the realization that while Srila Prabhupada was alive and living, everything kind of fell in place. And just a day or two later, when Prabhupada left, they just couldn't get themselves to organize themselves to go to even take the flowers to Mayapur. So they came to this realization they were so dependent on Srila Prabhupada for everything. And a simple thing like just taking flowers and going, they couldn't get themselves in the car, they couldn't fit the luggage. It was just a whole drama surrounding that. So eventually they did get to Mayapur, and but on the way to Mayapur, they stopped off in Calcutta, and they were received by Srila Prabhupada's two sons, Vrindavan Chandra, and they it was Prabhupada's desire. We drove to Mayapur the next morning. Prabhupada had asked that his Pushpa Samadhi be built near the Pukur pond, where his Mayapur house was to have been constructed. So now Mayapur at the moment is such a grand, prior to even our Adbhut Mandir being almost complete. The Pushpa Samadhi, how you know of Srila Prabhupada's greatest is his greatness also. If you go around, traveling around India, there's no other place or places where you have samadhis glorifying a person of this stature and nature, the buildings itself, like in Vrindavan, this is marble where Prabhupada's actual body is. It's just beautifully, ornately decorated and very wonderfully carved. And the Prabhupada's Samadhi in Mayapur, prior to the big temple being built, you'll think this building is so colossal, it can be seen for miles and miles around. Anywhere you are in Mayapur Dham, there's no doubt you'll see the dome, the big dome of the Samadhi of Prabhupada. So this is Prabhupada's greatness. His Samadhi alone can speak volumes. And you think, wow, that's such a great and grand building, the Samadhi itself. Now when you look at the great temple that Prabhupada and Prabhupada's predecessor, Acharyas Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they envisioned this big temple. It actually dwarfs, the Samadhi is like dwarfed by this huge building. You would think that's the biggest building, but this supersedes that tenfold. It's just amazing. So this morning, before coming here, I went for Mangal Arti to the new Jagannath Puri temple in Phoenix. And His Holiness Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Swami is there for a few days. I think he's coming to Radhanath temple from Wednesday onwards. And I was asking his blessings, asking him some guidance, what to say. And before we even started chanting in the Phoenix temple, Pundarik Vidyanidhi Prabhu, Bhakti Brihad Swami and myself, we maybe spoke for about 20 minutes on this book. And he said, the first printing of this book was 9,500 copies of it. And he made a bold request that he wants 5,000 copies of the book, more than half of what was printed. And he was bold enough to say, I will distribute these books in India. And you can imagine the COVID has just started around that time. And Devamrita Maharaj's reaction was, Prabhu, can you do so many books? And Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Swami reminded Maharaj that Giriraj Maharaj, His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj, gave him the name Brihat Mridanga prior to him becoming the second sannyasi here in South Africa. And that name actually means a printing press, one who has a big ability to distribute. Beside him being a big stick, very strong sannyasi, he has this ability. The first college, Bhaktivedanta College, was started on the back of distributing thousands and thousands of science of self-realizations to all the matriculants from all the schools. And Maharaj told him, what is the point of distributing so many books? Why don't you teach it? And that's how the college has started. So he was sharing his realization. He said almost like 25 to 30 years ago, he couldn't give the exact time. He used to go over to America. At that time, Giriraj Maharaj was not staying in Carpentaria. Different places they moved until they settled in Carpentaria. And he said there was one occasion where serving Giriraj Maharaj can be quite exhausting because he's on a different sort of time frame. He can go right through till midnight and past that and still wake up very early in the morning and go through the whole day again. So there was one occasion where Bhakti Brihad Swami was totally exhausted. He knocked out on the couch going into the interleading room where Giriraj Maharaj was sleeping. So he said he was meant to wake up, to make the bed of Giriraj Maharaj for him to take rest, and he slept right through it. And he came to this realization that actually Giriraj Maharaj can do everything himself. He doesn't need a servant. But in order for you to develop your love for your Guru, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki, Shri Gaura Hari ki, Giriraj Govardhani ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. He realized that Giriraj Maharaj doesn't need a servant. He can do everything himself. But for the sake of developing your love for Guru, he allows you to serve him. So when he woke up at 1 in the morning, he could see the light in Giriraj Maharaj's room on. You could see through the door between the door and the frame or the keyhole, the light was still on. So he went and he placed his ear closer to the door to see, what's happening. This part of the morning, Maharaj is like up 1 o'clock in the morning. And he could hear in the dictaphone click, 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 click. Maharaj is saying something and is recording. Click, click, click. So that same morning when, he, of course, met Maharaj earlier that morning, he asked Maharaj, so early in the morning, you are translating. And Maharaj told him, this is actually leading to a point prior to that, because there was, when they were trying to market these books, they were on a Zoom conference call to the Pune temple, trying to sort out how many books are going to go where and where. And then it was, somehow this popped up that Giriraj Maharaj doesn't have a transcendental diary where he recorded all the events. It was established. And then the conversation developed into where it's a long, I'm just trying to scale it down, where it was not necessary for him to have a transcendent diary, because for those of you who know Giriraj Maharaj, he has like a memory of a Naistika brahmachari, or someone, if you hear it once, he'd hardly forget it again. So he had such a good memory of recall. And once, not once, many times, Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu would estimate, like Giriraj Maharaj, if he talks about something, he can give you the exact time, place, circumstance, who he spoke to, maybe even what the date was. He'd give you the person's full name and he'd recall the whole conversation. Once when I was serving him in America in 2017, there was an Indian couple that came all the way from Bombay to serve him. And this Mataji, her name is Sita Thakurani, she made a prep that pertained to a certain location in India which is fairly close to Udaipur. Between Jaipur and Udaipur, there's a town. So Giriraj Maharaj told her, I last ate this in this place, in that year, it was cooked by that person, and you made exactly the same prep today. And we were all shocked. It's going back, like 2-3 decades ago, and he remembered the exact circumstance and the name of the prep and what it was. It was just amazing for someone to can remember so much of detail. So coming back to the point of remembrance, the incident of, there was a point where Bhakti Priya Swami disagreed with the point of the diary, transcendental diary and this, that, and he said, no, let me tell you of an incident. And he referred back to this incident of the Maharaj recording. So it's like this. Srila Prabhupada, in the Bombay project, Giriraj Maharaj is only 22 years old, very, very young man. And Srila Prabhupada, he tried different devotees before, but it didn't work. But he could see that Giriraj Maharaj, although being very young, junior to many other top, like Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, so many big devotees in a society, they can just like tell you things and you just do it, But Giriraj Maharaj was like a more humble disposition, very quiet-natured. And Prabhupada could see that this is a person who have understood my desire for this project, and he's the person that will stick it out. There was a case in point where, in the previous chapter, the devotees could not see the value of that land and the project, and the tussle between Mr. Naya and Imbate, criticizing the whole chanting by the devotees, Mr. Naya, his trickery of involving politicians and giving the land and then taking the money and not giving the money. It's a whole, you must be heard about this, and it's well documented. That and there came a point where Tamal Krishna Maharaj, they actually signed over the land back to Mr. Nair. And it was just Prabhupada, he was so furious, he just remained silent. Otherwise he would have like swallowed everybody up. That's how angry he was when they've done that. But then he placed his faith in Giriraj Maharaj because he could see, like Prabhupada said, I'm the jeweler. And Giriraj Maharaj is the diamond, and in time he will shine. This is a comment before Bombay is Giriraj and Giriraj is Bombay. That came right at the end. But this point of Prabhupada being the jeweler and Giriraj being the diamond, and in time he will shine. So Prabhupada knew the qualities of Giriraj Maharaj. And coming back to this point, it is stated when Giriraj Maharaj, when he sleeps, his consciousness is so much in Juhu, Bombay, and when he's starting, when the thoughts enter into his consciousness and his mind, not to forget it, not that he will, he should wake up and he start recording all these things that are flooding in his memories, from so many years back. Everything that he recalled, he recorded it. Waking up, the moment the thought, even in his sleep, enters his mind, he'll wake up and immediately record those events. It was just an amazing point that Maharaj made this morning of not forgetting and just recording everything. Anyway, it was just wonderful just to be in America. I went there twice with the opportunity to serve while this book was being published. We were in touch with the editors. We were servants, my wife and I. My wife was a cook, was serving the prasadam, and obviously in close proximity to the dining table. And we could hear the conversation of different points that were discussed in the book. And sometime for the whole duration of the meal can take 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, they will sit and deliberate on one point. What it actually means. Can it mean this? Can it mean that? Like the word Shastra. Does it mean scripture? Does it mean a weapon? Different, topics like that. And we are privy to a lot of stuff that was manifesting in the book. And the realization that Kalachandi Prabhu, who is the younger brother of Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, is that there was not much editing that he could do, because the thoughts and the writings of Giriraj Maharaj was so good, it hardly needed any editing at all. But because he's coming from an English professor background, and as people who know Giriraj Maharaj, he's a perfectionist. So he had to engage an editor, or a person to put everything in its proper context. And then there's Mother Vishaka, who now lives in Vrindavan. She holds the archives for the Juhu project, going back. This is a work in progress for like 25 years or more, this book. It didn't just manifest like that. There was a lot of anxiety or transcendental anger when Giriraj Maharaj, the expectation was to finish this book by the 40th anniversary of the Jew temple project. But Maharaj did not rush it. That would have been a great time to launch the book. It's a big occasion. And just one more thing, for that occasion, His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj, he produced a book, similar, the events of Juhu from the earliest days. And if it was another person, they would not share the information that they want to put in their book. You'll hold on to it for my book. But because Lokanath Maharaj had such a close bond with Giriraj Maharaj, from the earliest of days, when he joined, his name was Raghunath, and he became Lokanath Maharaj. And he had to write a letter to join, and Giriraj Maharaj authorized him, signed it off to say he can join full time. He came from a very spiritual background. And So whatever information that His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj needed for the book, without any reservation, that information was passed on to Lokanath Maharaj. He didn't hold the information for his book. He gave it to him. The pictures that are there in cup interior, all the Giriraj Maharaj's family and all, it's more printed in Bombay as my office than in this book. You'll see the pictures of a young Giriraj Maharaj and his father, grandfather, all of that. It's more in Lokanath Maharaj's book. So this was a work in progress for such a long period of time, the database. And this book is like manifested after like such a long period of time. And Prabhupada personally told Giriraj Maharaj, you have to write a book about it. And Prabhupada kept reminding him on different stages. So this point of opening of the temple, it is very emotional because Prabhupada put so much of effort into it, but he couldn't be there for the actual opening. He had to go to Vrindavan and leave his body. You know, I mean, you know, how sad is that? This was Prabhupada's pet project. You know, he sacrificed the deities, he took them from the comfortable flats, he put them out in the tent to stay on the site, and all the hassles they went through to establish it. And Prabhupada knew how the Indian bureaucracy works. Once you put the deity on the site, it's very hard to break a temple down. He knew all the inner workings and he beat them at their own game. And even Giriraj Maharaj could not understand. People came there as politicians of other religious groups, and they portrayed one intention, but Prabhupada told Giriraj Maharaj they're coming with a hidden agenda, different intentions of what they actually want to achieve. So in this regard, Giriraj Maharaj was personally groomed by Srila Prabhupada because he understood, you know, the bureaucracy in India and how it works, and he kept him very close. So devotees came from all over the world, and the Prabhupada, you know, said that this temple opening must be so grand, almost on the scale of a Rajasuya sacrifice. You know, when this sacrifice after the battle of Kurukshetra, when so many millions of people were perished, they had to do this Rajasuya sacrifice to install Yudhisthira, King Yudhisthira. And it was done in a grand scale. So Prabhupada wanted it to be in such a grand scale. And there's a description how the temple was decorated, how Maharaj made contact with all the leading news agencies from around the world, and how some of them sent their own representative personally to attend the grand opening. And at that time, the most prominent newsletter or publication was Newsweek. They even sent their representative from Singapore to attend this grand opening. And so this is a flagship project, because prior to this project, ISKCON generally in the eyes of the public was not taken very seriously. But this temple, it was a flagship project. It established our ISKCON. They've established something that is so grand in that time, going back. It cost $2 million to build. It was completed, I think, in just after the departure of Srila Prabhupada. And the grand nature of it, and Rupa Goswami, you know, generally people frown upon having a theater in a temple environment, like a restaurant. It might seem like it's for social gatherings or, you know, for satisfying your material comforts and things like that. But this, you know, people might, Rupa Goswami makes a point of renunciation, what it actually means. It doesn't actually mean that you use a loincloth and you wander off in the forest. But this renunciation is different, because it's establishing a different point of view, that you're engaging things for the service of the Lord according to the current situation. When people come to your temple, they must be so comfortable. Like even for this project, prior to being established, they set aside rooms for special guests. The guests were treated as kings, you know, treated very nicely. They were looked after. And then they could understand, the devotees are very caring naturally by nature. And this opening, the front rows of the this hall was so nicely decorated. Even the prominent people were given very, very wonderful seats to sit on, to watch the whole opening. There was this classical dancers, the best in India at that time, were present. And there's an incident of Mahaprabhu Das. He was a leading lawyer in the High Court in Bombay. So his experience was, he could not relate to the religious people. His wife, if she wanted to go to the temple, he'll drive her there and he'll wait for her in the car. The similar example is a devotee that Raghunath Bhatta got into, Shalini and her husband. The husband should drive the wife, leave her, and he'll wait in the car, go and come back and pick up. A similar sort of scenario. And he was playing cards in like a place where the men socialize, and he came across this article in a grand temple opening. And his first experience, because he's such a top guy in Bombay, when he went there, he couldn't really get in because it was fully booked. But somehow his first interaction was not the best because he couldn't relate to the devotees. But then on his own, he came to the realization, these white people or Western people, initially they subjugated India, but then they've come back to take to Krishna consciousness. He was questioning the intention of these people. Are they really devotees, or are they undercover CIA? Who are they, But then as he got closer and closer to the devotees, he could understand, these are really genuine people. Their intentions are good. And they want to re-establish our culture and our motherland. How wonderful is this? And he mentions that Giriraj Maharaj had signed off a copy of his life membership. At that time, life membership was a big thing in India. And Giriraj Maharaj, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, used to go out every day prior to even the temple being open to recruit and sign up life memberships. So this was the experience of Mahaprabhu. And we had the good fortune, Raghunath Bhatta and myself, we went to Bombay a few times while Giriraj Maharaj was there. We got a chance to serve personally in Bombay. One of our many services were when Maharaj, he used to like to stay next to Srila Prabhupada's room on the 5th level. And the kitchen is on like India, when we say ground floor, it actually means like first floor, something like that. So the kitchen was a floor above the ground floor. And Maharaj is staying on the 5th floor. And the chapati makers, as they're making the chapatis, he was up with the hot chapati and I was down ready to run up with the next chapati. It was like in a cycle, we're running up and down the stairs, serving Giriraj Maharaj the hot chapatis. So it was wonderful. We were like happy to do it. It was such a wonderful service. And Maharaj will see this puff chapati and he'll poke it and relish it. It was just a wonderful experience. So I lost my train of thought. We were in Bombay, yes. Giriraj Maharaj was meant to come personally to Vrindavan to take us on parikram, But then he changed his plan. Like if you know Giriraj Maharaj, once we booked a ticket to go to India, he didn't end up coming at all. We're in India, waiting for him, but he didn't come. So it's like that. It's very hard, if you're there, he comes, he comes. The plan can change at any time. You take a risk, but it's a good risk. If you're there, you get the mercy. And if he comes. So on one such occasion, he didn't come, and we were in Vrindavan. And he told, okay, Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, you take my disciples and go on parikram. So we've been on parikram many times, so we just came to the spontaneous decision one night, late in the night in Loy Bazaar. Our Guru Maharaj is in Vrindavan. I mean in Bombay, and we here in Vrindavan. I think reflective of the pastime of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati when he was in Radhakund. All the disciples were running out on parikram, but Srila Prabhupada remained behind and stayed with his Guru Maharaj. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur marked him. He likes to hear. At that point, he identified Prabhupada likes to hear because he didn't go on the parikram. Not to say anything derogatory of the people who went, but we just wanted to be with Giriraj Maharaj. So we booked an overnight flight and we went way back to Bombay. And the exchange and the results that we got from that was just truly amazing. For some reason, it was just after the departure of Sridhar Swami, who was a very great friend of Giriraj Maharaj, who served in this project together in Bombay. He was referred to as a Jolly Swami. It was just wonderful how just the two of us, although there's many other devotees there, because we made that sacrifice, I think Giriraj Maharaj marked us. He took us to all the programs he went to. When he was taking prasadam, he should invite us to sit with him. When we were meeting the disciples of Sridhar Maharaj, he took us into this room, and if you really want to, when a spiritual master passes away, the pain that the disciples feel is just amazing. So we were privy to that. The disciples were just, they knew the closeness of Giriraj Maharaj with Sridhar Maharaj. And to see it firsthand, how these devotees were breaking down and crying to Maharaj and feeling the separation of the loss of the Guru, we had that experience. Then later on, maybe not that visit, we went to Mahaprabhu's house. So many different leading disciples' houses were personally taken who are helping to develop this project in Bombay. And one of the main places we went to in this book, what is the name of the builder? The person who built the project, Ramesh, bring me my gun. We went to Mr. Sethi's house with Giriraj Maharaj. Of course, now he's late. And we got there early, and Giriraj Maharaj came quite late. And devotees were in a lot of anxiety. He came very late. So Mr. Sethi's opening remarks was, you could sense the devotees were waiting long. His opening line was, you're waiting 1 or 2 hours for Giriraj Maharaj to come. I've been waiting 8 years for Giriraj Maharaj to come back to my house. Because that was a house, prior when this temple project was being built, they used to freely go anytime. And Mr. Sethi's wife used to cook for these devotees and serve them and take care of them in such a wonderful way that they had this very close relationship with Mr. Sethi and his wife and his son Ramesh. So we had the good fortune of meeting all of them. And the real nectar came out that night when everybody left. All the guests that were invited, the disciples, they were gone. It was just, I think, Ranchor Prabhu, Raghunath Bhatta and myself, and Mr. Sethi and Giriraj Maharaj in this room with his son and few family members. And they were actually holding each other and crying like babies. It was just too emotional, the whole scene. And every time they speak, they'll talk, they'll cry and talk and cry. And they were just reminiscing of the times that they spent together in this project. And it was just wonderful to see that kind of love that was exchanged between the two of them. It was just out of this world to witness it firsthand. Such a wonderful exchange of love, of genuine love. And although Mr. Sethi did not get initiated officially, I think Srila Prabhupada remarked once that, as you are building the house for Radha Rasa Bihari in Juhu, Krishna is building your home in the spiritual world for you. So there was actually no need for him to get formally initiated. He was already part of Srila Prabhupada's entourage in the spiritual world. That's how special Mr. Sethi was. You know. It's just amazing to... this grand opening, coming back to it, and it's like impossible to cover so many pages in this limited time. And I was just in anxiety as to what to say and how to speak about this. It's just that the whole, just the thought of Srila Prabhupada not being present, for the actual temple opening is like a real... It's one of the saddest things that one can actually think about. It's just a few months away from the actual opening, and he just wasn't present for it. But then the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, although they were so young, like Giriraj Maharaj is 22 years old, they did such a wonderful job of putting ISKCON on the map because of this project. The Twin Towers accommodation facilities, the Grand Marble Temple, the theatre, and the phase 2 of the project was, this is the foresight of Srila Prabhupada, to have a school where the aristocratic people plus the general people will send their kids to this prestigious school. Although the curriculum of the school might not be accepted by the government because it was more British orientated system was still prevailing in that time, and it might not be totally recognized in the material world as certification from that school, but the intention of Prabhupada said the byproduct of that school will be you'll have children that will be going through a Gurukul system of education, and these will be the real leaders of the future. So that school was meant to establish that. So the vision for the school was there. And also the vision for devotees who've retired from family life, material life, who wants to dedicate their life to Krishna, to have a facility for them. So sometimes this is what we lack in our society, to take care of older devotees who want to give their last days and dedicate their later years to the service of Krishna. So this facility was already pre-planned to have in the Juhu project. And it's quite a big site, 4 acres. And so all this vision was there to follow after this main project. And for the temple opening, there was a person that was headhunted to run the restaurant. And he came from this aristocratic British 5-star sort of restaurant mindset. And when this restaurant was set up, for the opening of the temple, although Giriraj Maharaj's family visited a little before the temple opening, they could not come back for the temple opening. But some of his cousins, they timed the visit to India to be personally present for the temple opening. And Giriraj Maharaj, he was very appreciative of the fact that they came and they stayed for the temple opening. And when they had this meal in this really posh restaurant, their comments, these people are very high up there in the social society in America. They're coming from very, very aristocratic background themselves. And when you get a comment like that coming from them, that this is like really far out, first class, 5-star facility. The presentation of the ambience of the restaurant, the way the food has been served, the quality of the prasadam, all of that, they were just like raving about it. This is really a good facility. And this is what this project put Prabhupada's movement on the map more, because of the high standard this temple has set for, And now, of course, India, the last time Sanatan Prabhu was here, one of the temple presidents of Vrindavan, he reckoned in India, Russia was leading, in terms of the Hare Krishna explosion recently, but India is like a double atomic bomb that has like hit India in terms of how our society is spreading. And it's not just spreading, people are highly educated engineers, doctors, this, that, whatever. They are giving their lives. From a Namahata situation, they're developing, they're establishing newer and newer and more and more and more temples. It's just exploding all over India. It's just unimaginable to the extent of how fast this movement is spreading in India, from very humble beginnings. Like Prabhupada, he started with the League of Devotees, he didn't have much success. But when he came back with these dancing white elephants in India, this whole thing has started. And this is where the main standard has been set, the Juhu project. And people are following this project and copying it and just producing more and more wonderful temples out there. So India is like really up in terms of book distribution, in terms of temples, more and more devotees, succession planning, and newer and younger devotees, highly qualified people. Of course, back then, it is mentioned here in this section, that the two most prominent people that joined in this era was Alfred Ford's grandson, Ambarish Maharaj, and George Harrison in this era. These were the two most prominent people worldwide that was famous to join Srila Prabhupada's society. And so this is the greatness of Srila Prabhupada, what he established. And what's the time? I can't see it. How much time? Okay, you have to stop now. So, anyway, it's said that, we write at the tail end of this book, and I feel, maybe so many pages you cannot really do justice to what is being said here. I try to cover as much as I can. But it's a book where it's almost like, you can say like nectar of devotion in a different form, where it's coming from Krishna in the line of disciplic succession. And we always refer to predecessor acharyas, but Giriraj Maharaj is a current guru. And the realizations in this book is dealing with the current situation to help us in our current time, what one should do, because it covers a lot of things. It covers how to manage a society, how to deal with devotees from different backgrounds, different ages, different mindsets, introverts, extroverts. You get the heavy, big devotees, you get the small devotees. In this project, devotees were physically fighting, punching each other and whatever, and how he dealt with them, and how he rectified the situation, how he brought about harmony amongst the devotees, how to manage a temple, how to manage a restaurant, how to deal with devotees' feelings, how to counsel devotees. Giriraj Maharaj could have been a doctor, medical doctor, but he felt there was a greater need to be a psychologist, because there's a greater need for people in this age who are suffering mentally. There's a greater need for it. So he graduated cum laude as a psychologist at Brandeis University. So he has the material background, but what he has to offer spiritually is just amazing in this book, because it gives you so many different scenarios how we can actually help the society just by reading this book. What to do in different situations, how to help devotees, how to establish centers, how to manage a society, how to deal with different devotees on different levels. So everything is here in this book. If you just read and make notes, you can always use this as a reference guide, what to do in this situation, what to do in that situation. There's no like a one rule can apply for all. It gives you different things, what can do in different time, place, and circumstances. So this is the beauty of this book. And the love and care that he showed, personally instructed by Prabhupada to put this book together. This book in the future will be like a handbook for devotees, as a reference guide as to how one can actually rectify things or encourage you, get enthused about something. You can use this book as a reference. So thank you very much for listening. Hare Krishna. I'm actually embarrassed to speak in front of Raghava Pandit and Raghunath Bhatta, all my mentors in my spiritual growth and journey. And these are all great devotees of the Lord, and one should never speak in front of like a senior. It's not really the right thing to do. But I always look towards them for my own growth and guidance. And when I see them, I always feel, they're offering so much for the society. And we should follow in the footsteps and remain under the guidance. We'll be successful in our spiritual life. Hare Krishna. Raghunath, you got a question? Sorry, is there any comments, corrections, and Ujjwala has just made a transition from outside to inside. You know, previously when we joined, we are outside devotees, then you get inside devotees, full-time devotees, congregational devotees. So she's like in the inner circle now, right next to Radharani's lotus feet. So she's been a long-standing, seasoned devotee, and I'm sure the temple will be richly blessed by her, you know, full-time service and being here and helping the temple go forward. You know, we need devotees in her caliber to help and take the movement forward. Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu.
I was just thinking, you know, you were speaking about all these pastimes. I mean, so wonderful. And being there in Bombay with you also, I was thinking of, you know, when you spoke about Sridhar Maharaj and his disciples, it was a very moving experience. They were like lamenting that he's passing away. And in that group, there was a girl who was talking about, one devotee was asking the question about, you know, that she's like, it's about competition with other devotees, especially in terms of book distribution, and she felt that she was, whether it's okay or she's, you know, being envious or, but the way Giriraj Maharaj dissected the whole thing and brought it to the point that way, it was just like, you know, you're doing it for the pleasure of Krishna.
Yes.
And I found that very interesting. And then she said that they bought the house of Mr. Naya. They bought the house of Mr. Naya. And it was a very beautiful house after he left this world. And then Giriraj Maharaj said, well, this is another victory. You know, when he went to Prabhupada, that day he had nothing with him. And Prabhupada said, now we have to start the temple, you have to give something. And he told his wife to open her bangle, sure, which was made of gold. And he said,
take it.
Give it to Prabhupada. So the temple was started with gold. And that temple is not short of money. The money is pouring in. They're not short of money to do anything.
Just one thing before I forget. Hold your point. Besides installing the grand deities, right, of Sitaram, Radha Rasa Bihari, Lalita Vishaka, I think Gaurnitai, right? Giriraj Maharaj is so intelligent. He put a picture of Srinathji on the wall. And can you guess which hundi gets the most amount of money? Although you have full-size murtis, which place gets the most amount of Lakshmi? And which hundi gets most? It's only a picture. You'll figure it out, right? The most of money goes in the hundi where the picture of Srinathji, because the Gujarati people, they love Srinathji. If you go to Udaipur, you can get trampled there because so many people come to see the deity, such a special deity. Sorry, Raghunath.
So it's fine. But I just wanted to make those points. There's so many things we could speak about, you know.
Yeah.
Going there and serving, and especially those exchanges, because when Sridhar Maharaj left, and Sridhar Swami had such a deep relationship with Giriraj Maharaj. It was like extremely, very close relationship.
Even his passing away past time.
Even when he was leaving this world, leaving the world, you know, just then, he was explaining, I think, to, I mean, probably Radhanath Swami and others were there, and he's saying that how much he loved Giriraj Maharaj, and just then he phoned also. So just see, it's calling now, so they had a very deep relationship. I think that kind of thing we should try to develop amongst ourselves also. It's not so easy, but it's possible, yeah. So I thought of just saying that. Does anybody else want to say anything?
Okay.
I would like to say something.
You know, it's the beauty of this book is as you speak, so many other things come to mind, yeah? like as you were saying about Sridhar Swami and Giriraj Maharaj. And I'm just thinking of that one time where Maharaj and Sridhar Swami were going around Govardhan, and they both were actually very sick, unbeknown to each other. You know, Maharaj told him, "I only went around because of you."
Yeah.
And Sridhar Swami said, "I wasn't well and I only went around because of you." Yeah, so you were there. So that was such a beautiful exchange. And as you're speaking, I'm just thinking of that very famous statement by Bharadraj Prabhu, you know, where they were holding each other and crying and embracing each other. And where, you know, he said that Krishna consciousness is just, you know, it's masquerading as a philosophy.
Yes.
But it's love masquerading as a philosophy. So that is, I think that's one of the most beautiful things in what Prabhupada has given us. He has given us the height of philosophy, and he has given us, he's shown us, you know, in his deathbed when he was about to leave this world, how to live as that devotee. You know? It is like one of the most beautiful things, actually.
I remember one incident that Raghava Pandit has instigated. We were downstairs in Srila Prabhupada's room, and I think His Holiness Parthasarathi Maharaj was there, Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj was there, and Giriraj Maharaj was there. And Raghava Pandit, he started this kirtan. And it's the first time we were fairly new to Krishna consciousness that we could experience in that room. You kind of lost your identity, whether you're male, female, or whatever, guru, disciple. It was just a feeling where everybody was flying around that room and jumping on top of each other to grab the feet and just rolling on the ground. And it was, I've never experienced something like that, but Raghava Pandit started that. So yes, Rishikesh. Yes. Yeah, there's a Mataji climbed on my back. I just couldn't believe it. Yeah, that emotion, whoever was in that room was...
Yeah, it started.
The cake. Awesome. Yeah. For later.
Yeah, this was one. Yeah, you know, just extending on that. So when we went down there, I was looking at Srila Prabhupada, the deity. It was not where the place it is now, it was a little on that side. And as I was standing there, Giriraj Maharaj was standing in front of me, and I was standing behind him, and all of a sudden somebody just fell on me, you know, it was like I had a thud right on my chest. I just picked him up.